Hey everybody, it's Boardman21, and today we're going to show you 3 variations of the shield throw, hammer throw, Proc'n Smite. Among these 3 builds, the first one's going to be just regular shield throw and the skills that you would use with it. The second one will be hammer throw and what skills that you would use with it. And then the third one is going to knock Holy Aura out of the skill tree. You'll still use it, but without the tree, but you're going to use a hybrid between using both the hammer throw and the shield throw at the same time. So, let's get started. First up, we got the shield throw Proc'n Smite, and the 5 skills that we're going to be running is Holy Aura, Sigils of Hope, Ring of Shields, Smite, and shield throw. For Holy Aura, we're going for all the throwing damage and throwing attack speed and regular attack speed, which also increases your attack speed. And then we went for some extra protections, 2 points into the ignite chance and 2 points into the physical damage. For Sigils of Hope, we're going to be running the 5 points in empowering sigils to give you the 30% granted damage per sigil that's active, 3 points in degree of flame. This gives you the 3 extra fire damage per active sigil, 5 points in the ignite chance, so that per sigil active you have 30% ignite chance, and 3 points into global damage, which just helps everything. Also, we went with our extra points into duration, so we have 1 point in that, 2 points into iron sigils, and 1 point into last wish. Then for Ring of Shields, the way we're running this is we have 3 points in banding, 1 point in molten shields, 3 points in enduring defense for duration, 2 points into tempered steel so that we could have our last 2 points in block chance, and then up above we have healing, so we're going to have 2 points for additional shields, 2 points for healing, and then 5 points for armor on heal and elemental protections on heal. This is a big one to survive higher waves. Then we have Smite, and with Smite we have 1 point up above in Holy Wave, 3 points in global melee fire damage. That was just so that we could unlock the 5 points in Righteous Flurry, giving us 50% attack speed almost at all times. Then for the damage we have 100% ignite chance, 1 point in immolate for spreading flame chance, and then my favorite, the 5 points in Righteous Overload. Since Smite hits so hard and usually most of the time gets the kill, this gives a chance to detonate on slain enemies, and this is a 100% chance. So every enemy killed by Smite will explode, doing more fire damage to nearby enemies, and then 1 point just to put a fissure underneath them for a little bit more fire damage. And then we have shield throw, and on shield throw there's 2 important things that you're going to want on this. First, you want to make it free so you don't run out of mana. Second, you're going to want 1 point in Aegis, and this is so that when you're doing single target damage, it will bounce off your Ring of Shields and back at the enemy and kind of do a ricochet back and forth thing. So the more times you cast, it just lets you kill single targets so much faster. The main damage out of Ring of Shields is going to be Eruption, which casts Lava Burst on every ricochet that it does. So when you ricochet back and forth, every time it's going to do an explosion, and since this is your main damage, you're going to want the 5 points to increase Lava Burst damage by 150%. We also have 1 point in Forceful Breaking, which increases its area of effect. We put 1 point in Molten Shield so that all base damage is converted to fire damage. 2 points into Forgeborn, which gives you more projectile speed and more base fire damage. And then all the rest of our points, besides the 2 in Armoring Aegis for armor on ricochets, is going into the mana cost, so that by the end of these 3 nodes, you'll get the cooldown completely removed and you have no mana cost. Our shield throw is actually free. And then really quickly we're going to go over all the passives that we have. So we have the 20 points in the base class Sentinel, we have 5 points in Gladiator, 8 points in Fearless, 2 points in Iron Mastery, 5 points in Retaliation, 2 points in Axe Thrower, so that when we throw an axe or when we hit an enemy, there will be a 16% chance to throw an axe, and that axe can also proc Smite. It's just a little extra Smite procking. We have 5 points in Void Knight for 50% extra increased damage after we've killed an enemy for 4 seconds. 25 points in Forge Guard. We have 1 point in Prime Fighter, 1 point in Battle Hardened, 8 points in Steel Aegis, and 10 points in Pedest, while we have another 10 points in Fresh from the Forge, which every 3 seconds will do the next throwing attack, 40 additional physical and fire damage. You can switch this 10 points out and put 10 points into rallying block so that you have additional armor and elemental protections for each hit that you blocked in the past 4 seconds. This is the more defensive route, and this isn't too much of an offensive boost. I might switch it myself and try it next. And then 47 points in Paladin. We have 2 points in Conviction, 6 points in Defiance, 5 points in Honor, 1 point in Holy Symbol, 8 points in Valor. And as we work our way up, we got 5 points in Holy Symbol, 8 points in Faith Armor, 1 point in Staunch Defender, 4 points in Shield Wall, and 5 points in Reverence of Duality, and 2 points in Light of Rhea. And then even quicker, we're going to go through the items. I'm just going to hover over them really quick, so if you'd like to pause it and see what's actually on it. We basically went for fire damage and defense on everything that we could get, which includes putting armor and protections, as we are running a one-handed weapon. We have it on our shield, our helm, our chest, and our belt, which is a huge defensive boost. We also went with gold rings so that we could get the increased elemental protection passively, and we went with ignite chance on the relic. Also, for the idols, if you can get 4 idols that have Smite proc on a throwing attack, that would be awesome. We were only able to find 2 at the time of this video, so the other idols that we're running is increased Smite damage and a little bit of damage leeches health on hit. I'm just going to go ahead and run a couple of waves just so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, we cast super fast, we smite all the time, and what we really like to do is do the numlock trick for both the Ring of Shields and Holy, and then every once in a while just click open a sigil. You do get sigils on kill, so as long as you see that you have only 1 or 2, just pop one. And then you can see our single target damage is pretty good. We are pretty low level, but this is a level 100 character, so obviously the damage is a little bit lower than what you would see if you were running this at level 60 or 70. And we'll just go ahead and make it to wave 40, and then we will move on to the next build. One tip, shield throw will hit all enemies that it passes through, so if you do have a bunch of trash mobs, try to aim for the mob that's in the back, because it will go through all of them and then start its ricochet once it gets to the target that you had aimed at. Now we have the hammer throw build instead of shield throw, and in this case we went with having as many projectiles as possible and also making the hammers chain. The other thing that we did was give yourself ignite chance for every stack of zeal, although even though zeal says that casting hammer throw grants you a stack of zeal for 4 seconds, which increases your damage and critical strike by 10% per stack, it doesn't say that there's a limit. However, if you go into Reyes Legacy and it says each stack of zeal also grants additional chance to ignite enemies, there is a 3 stack limit on this. Even though whether you put 1 point or 3 points into this, it doesn't change. You can only have up to 3 stacks. So I think it's a little broken, or the tooltip's a little weird, but with your 3 stacks you can get 30% more damage, 30% more critical strike chance, and 90% chance to ignite enemies. We also put 1 point into Winged Hammers, 1 point into Steadfast, and that was to get the extra projectiles with Catapult, which will increase the mana cost from 0 to 6, and then we put 5 points into Ballista to bring that mana cost back down. So Hammer Throw only costs 1 mana right now, and then we put 3 points into Force of Impact, 1 point in Collision. This makes it so where your hammers can no longer pierce. Instead, they now will chain. So we have Ricochet, where hammer throws now go to an additional enemy, and then we did 2 points above to get 2 more chains, so 1 hammer can now hit 4 enemies, but instead of going in a straight line, they will bounce to the enemies that they chain to. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you some gameplay. Beware, the single target damage on this is just grossly bad. However, the trash mob, the more mobs there are on the screen, the better this is. And you'll see why we run a hybrid next. And last but not least, my favorite hybrid build with the shield throw proccing smite. We're going to be using shield throw and hammer throw, and you'll notice that we no longer have holy aura in the mix. We do still have holy aura on our tree below, and we will still auto cast it, but it will no longer have a skill tree. And the way that we're going to play this build is we're going to use shield throw the same way that we had it, we're going to use hammer throw the same way that we had it, but whenever there's more than one mob on the screen, we're going to be doing hammer throw until we narrow it down to just 1 or 2 mobs, and then we'll use shield throw. Shield throw cleans up really well on single targets, and hammer throw cleans up and proc smite way more than shield throw does for a whole bunch of trash mobs. On top of that, when you clear out all the trash mobs and proc a whole lot of smites, it also gives you that global damage and that global ignite chance, and then you switch over and throw the shield, and it just makes the shield do even more damage. So with that, we're going to go ahead and run 5 waves here and show you exactly what we mean. And of course, hammer throw is laggy as hell, but once you get down to just, single target here, we throw the shield again, then we go back to the hammer throw, and voila, it just procs it. It can be a pretty laggy build, but overall it's pretty fun. We haven't optimized all the gear. We would like to go much more defensive than we currently are. But as you can see, when you throw a hammer through trash mobs like that, it just cleans them up real quick. Shield throw can do the same thing if you aim for the mob in the back, but shield throw is definitely much better for single targets or even dual targets. But as soon as you have more than 2 on the screen, I just like to throw in the hammer throw. But anyways, that's the 3 builds. Hope you like them. Tell me which one's your favorite.